Okay. So based on what the harmonic scanner had given, what we are looking for to draw is our roof and our floor. And I explained earlier on that the way to draw your roof is this point D. I'm going to be using the body and the wick. Somebody is asking me how I drew the pattern. It took me 16 months, so don't beat yourself that it may take you a while. What you are doing now is leveraging on my existing knowledge, right? If you can stay dedicated and focused, you'll do the same thing and even more. But the easy thing you can do is to stay on the harmonic scanner that is already given to you. So I pick my first line. I pick my first line. And I pick my second, which is now the body of the candle. And then again, I said for the floor, I look for where price somehow had a lot of rejections based on the harmonic scanner. And here's how I found this point. I looked at price coming from downstairs from here. It came through here. And then it came back into this place, and all of a sudden, it went up. So relatively, this gives me an idea that this point is a zone. Now, remember I said everything from this candle here and beyond. Go and play. Everything from this candle and beyond, we have not seen. So we are treating it as if it's a fresh move, right? So I cannot validate that this point, I cannot choose this point because I don't have any history around it yet. All right, I'm going to be picking the most recent that I have history on. And remember, I'm looking for a floor. So if I'm looking for a floor, I should be looking at a base, not a roof. This will act technically, roofs and floors are the same thing. But this is most appropriate for me to pick. I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use this. So what I'm looking for, a lot of people will use this, so don't get me wrong. But for me, for accuracy, I'm looking for something that, to a large extent, like 95% is accurate. I'm busy now, Dominion. I'm busy. I'm busy. Oh, thank you. Yes. Yes. What's your mouth? Okay, it's. Thank you. Okay, so. Say hello. Say hello. Hello. Hi, guys. Oh, thank you. Okay, that's good. This is your nose, huh? Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you. He's my assistant. He's the one that is speaking trade for me. Okay, so what I'm looking for is where market broke through the the floor or roof, and then formed a newfound zone and went back up. So I've seen this point and I've seen this point. So I want to validate. The only way I can validate is through history. So I will scroll out and check. These two lines that I've drawn. Yes, yes. Yes, thank you. These two lines that I've drawn, did price come to this point at any point in history and turn back? I want you to check with me and maybe give me a figure for the floor. Yes. Figure. Yeah. Mr. Oga. Thank you. Please give me 1 minute. Please give me 1 minute. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so what I'm looking for is where price came to in the past and it turned back. So would you agree with me that this is a zone? Would you agree also with me that this is another zone? Would you agree with me that this is another zone? Would you agree with me that this is a zone? Now I've got like 5 or 6 thereabouts. I've got like 6 points where price got to that point and turned back. When I say turn back, it can be turning back up, it can be turning back down. So what I'm looking for are those points where price came to and turned back. So when I zoom back out so we can all see it, price came to this point and it turned back. So this becomes my zone, right? This becomes my zone. So for me to keep it, I want to be seeing it every now and then, I highlight my zones for future reasons. I highlight my zones. Now I'm going to now project it forward and back. For me to project it, I come to settings. This first one here, I'll put it as a minus 5,000. I think the highest it can go is 15,000 plus and minus 15,000. I do the same for both of them. I do the same for both of them. So minus anything I like, I put same thing goes for this. That makes it happen. Okay. So what I'm now going to wait for after doing this drawing is Price needs to move outside the zone. Please, I've seen a lot of people make mistakes on this, and you don't have to make the same mistakes. You want to wait for price to move outside the zone, come back to the zone, and then give you a continuation. You want to wait for price to come outside of the zone, come back to the zone, come back to the zone, and give you a continuation. So when I talk about come back to the zone and giving you a continuation, here is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for price to do what I have drawn as per these lines, right? Let's say these are my candles, and then it moves out. This green line I'm drawing is my candle, and then it moves out. It came to this point, right? It came to this point, and the next candle that formed right after came back to the zone. The continuation that I'm now looking for is a candle that would close in my direction. And when I say close in my direction, apparently it has to close above the zone for a buy. It has to close above the zone for a buy. Okay? Now, the candle here broke above the zone. This is the flow I'm looking for. Meanwhile, the candle here came back into the zone, right? If this is clear so far, I want you to put in a 9 in the chat box. If this is clear so far, I want you to put in a 9 in the chat box. Awesome. So now that the candle have closed in, in a retest, it has come back retesting my zone. Guess what I'm doing? I'm not going to take the trade at that time. A lot of people take the trade from there on. But for me, I don't take the trade at that time. And here is why. A lot of times, many of us have heard about what is called fake out. A lot of time, it might break out of the zone, and then the next thing it comes back. It comes back into the zone, go and break the lower side, and then continue selling. I don't want to be caught in that drawdown. I want to be sure of my move. So what I do is this. I wait for the next candle to close in my direction. I wait for the next candle to close in my direction. And if you check this particular candle here now, this one here, did that candle close in my direction? Yes or no? Did that candle close in my direction? Yes or no? Did that candle close in my direction? Yes or no? At the close of this candle, as this candle is closing, this closed around 2 p.m. All right? It closed around 2 p.m. And as it is closing, this one is starting. It's starting 2 p.m. to close by 3 p.m. So at the close of this 2 p.m. candle, I go in for a buy. I go in for my buy. First take profit, 30 pips. This did 134 pips. First take profit, 30 pips. My stop loss, based on Christopher Derrick, is 30 pips. But I don't do 30 pips. I do zone. And I'm not going to teach that. For now, focus on the 30 pips that Christopher Derrick gives if you are taking it by yourself. And any other person, I mean, when I give a trade, I give you the right lot size as well as your stop losses. So you can equally follow the process like that. Now, I would have used a stop loss that is somewhere around here, which is about 145 pips. My first take profit will be 30 pips, and I'll allow the remaining to run. Now, when this happened, guess what? He came back down. Abi, remember I've projected my lines forward so I can see what is happening later in future. He came back down. And guess what? He now formed a candle in my direction again. You know what? I buy at the close of this candle. So as this one is starting, I buy 30 pips. And then TP2, I allow it trail. 153 pips from entry. 153 pips. Now, take note, we have caught, the first one was about 150 pips, 130 pips, 130 pips plus 153 pips. That's a total of 238 so far. And then he gave me a third entry here. Third entry. Remember, I've projected forward. He gave me a third entry here. And I entered at the close of this candle. As this one is starting, I entered my trade. He gave me 77 pips before a pullback. Gave me 77 pips before a pullback. So I'm going to look at the 77 pips. Remember, my first take profit is 30 pips. Plus 77 pips. That's 360 pips. Now, I wouldn't do anything here. I won't do anything on this pullback. I won't do anything here. I'll wait. But as it came to this zone, based on history now is now going to be experience. As it came to this zone, if I wanted to risk it, I can take some profit. But I'm not going to recommend that you take the risk. I'm not going to recommend that you take the risk. So we leave the trade. All right? We've taken 3 trades. Is it 3? We've taken 3 trades that have given us 360 pips on that move. Now, guess what? I've projected my lines forward. It now came down, came all the way, broke this zone, and did something like a retest. did something like a retest here. I'm supposed to enter my trade from this next one, but guess what? I will not enter until I see a candle that closes below the zone. Ordinarily, I'm not supposed to trade anything inside this zone. Ordinarily, I'm not supposed to trade anything inside this zone. But when I did a measure, it gave me some very, very fantastic, doable pips, about 130. So I'm going to wait for this price to close below, and it did here. So this will be my entry for a sell. This would have been my entry for a sell. So I did my sell. I didn't call this one. I did my sell, and in this one, I think I took 50 pips because it's in between the zone. So I didn't call this one. But when it now came and did like a proper retest, when it came and did like a proper retest here, I was expecting it to come to this point. I was expecting it to come back to this point, but it didn't. It didn't. And so for those people that saw the sell limit that I gave out this morning, it was based on this principle. It had broken, so I'm expecting it to come back to the zone before I start selling. And this was my take profit. So I gave out this trade. The entry was supposed to be here to this point where it was supposed to be like 141 pips. Unfortunately, it did not activate the sell limit. But I gave a hint to some people in my team. I gave a hint to some people in my team. I said, somebody called me earlier on. That's the advantage of reaching out to your coach and mentors. Somebody called me earlier in the day, and I told him, I'm going to sell, but I'm going to use a very small lot size so that I don't miss out on the possibility, because I see this thing going to sell. I see it literally going to sell properly. So I took the sell, and then it knocked me out on my first move. It knocked me out on, I think, 20 pips. After I did like 30 something pips, it knocked me out on 20 pips. When I saw it repeating itself again, I entered and it delivered. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying this is what you should go and do, but I'm saying if you build up your experience, you will catch these moves. One of us or two of us in this particular call caught this move. I'm not talking about me now. I'm talking about other people on the call. Two of us or three of us now, if I'm to include myself, three of us caught this move. I gave a very subtle hint, very, very subtle, that somebody called me and is already in and is in profit. So this is price trap. Identify it on the harmonic scanner, the steps in price trap. I can't find color. Okay. So these are my rules, basically. See it on the harmonic scanner. I take a good look at it. I identify my zones, and then I trap my price. I trap my price. Okay. So if you have any questions, I'd like you to ask now. If you have any questions, I'd like you to ask. If you have any questions, I'd like you to ask.
Hello, coach.
Yeah.
Please, how do you deal with a trade that has already gone far from the harmonic scanner?
Okay. I'll handle it in a bit. Okay, so we currently have Euro USD on the harmonic scanner. My bias, Euro USD is still going to buy a little bit more before we have any direction. So I'm going to trap this. So what am I waiting for? Breakout, breakout, and I'm going to follow you. I think I have it on my watch list. Okay. So on my watch list, it had broken out of a zone. Apparently, this guy just repented, or he repented. It was somewhere here. It was somewhere here. Which is why I think he's still going to buy. He's going to do a short sell, coming back to this zone. He's going to do a short sell, coming back. Now, if this guy would hold, if this zone will hold, I will expect a move up. But let's see what happens when market opens on Sunday. Now, somebody asked if a trade had gone past. If a trade is gone past, just
Yes,
remember to trap. From the beginning, remember to trap. This trade is already gone. AUDJPY, and I think I trapped it. AUDJPY. Yeah, I trapped AUDJPY. I've projected it forward and it's still within the zone. I don't like this move yet. So I won't do anything on this yet. But then, based on the time I saw it, I think it was within this point, right? So I trapped it from the harmonic scanner based on these points. So I trapped it on the harmonic scanner based on this point. If it breaks, I need it to retest before I start selling. If it breaks, I need it to retest. This was my first trap here. This one came later. This was my first trap. If it breaks, I need it to retest, then I start selling. Now, as it kept on happening and it kept respecting this past zone here, guess what? I brought a new zone to it. So I said, if it breaks out and comes back to the zone, I will sell. It broke out. And did 102 pips. Is that? Am I right? Okay, I'm not so sure. I think this should be like 12 pips before pulling back up. So in dealing with a trade that is already gone past, here is my advice. Whenever you see a trade on the harmonic scanner, go to your trading view. Go to your trading view. If you don't have an account with trading view, open one, it's free. Go to your trading view, identify that same currency pair. GBP, let's say GBP. Okay, let's deal with something that is a bit fresh. And then I will trap this together. Now, at this point, I literally get my paper. My journal is close to me here. I have my journal with me. I have my journal. But for the sake of this session, I'll just pick up a piece of paper. And then I'll write out my lines. All right? I'll write out the figures on my lines. Remember, body to wick. Body to wick. Peak. Body to wick. Now I've trapped my price. I've trapped my price. I could trap around here, but I don't want this. This is going to be chubby. I've trapped my price. This is USD card, right? Now, the reason why I use these black lines is so I can get my figures. For my upper zone, I'm writing it down. For my upper zone, I have 1.41, 1.41549. And then the second line is 1.41186. I've written those two now. For my lower zone, I have those two black lines. For my lower zone, I have this, which is 1.39469, and I have the second, which is 1.39185. So I go to my trading view and I find USD card. Now, because I have a little of experience, I can easily spot it. Remember, this was our peak here. Remember, this was our peak again. And this was our lows. It becomes easy to just spot. If you agree with me that it becomes easy to spot, I'd like you to put in a 7. If you agree with me that it becomes easy to just spot, put in a 7. Okay. So I've done my spotting. Guess what? I mark up. I mark up. After I've done this, because I know price needs to break and retest, I put it on my watch list here. USDCAD. I always select the first one. So if you are the type that you would like selecting multiples, just select anyone that you know you'll be consistent with. Me, for easy, remembrance, I select the first one. That's the one I selected here, and that's the one I'm selecting on my watch list. So I can put it here. I add it to my watch list, USD card. That's logged me out.
Look, I didn't hear what you were saying just now.
So I put it on my watch list. Guess what? It's there on my watch list. Now, if I change to anything else, let's say USD MXN, if I change to anything else, I've switched. I'm moving to another one. Let's say XAU XAU Euro, right? I've switched again. But guess what? By the time I come back to my watch list and I click it, it's back there. Why? Because I've logged in. So I encourage everybody, get a trading view account. When you see it on the Harmonic scanner, come and draw it. Now there's an advantage which I always say to drawing it on the, Harmonic, seeing it on the Harmonic scanner before bringing it to your trading view. The Harmonic scanner is known to be 80% accurate. The Harmonic scanner is known to be 80% accurate. If you agree with that statement, please put in a 5. The Harmonic scanner is known to be 80% accurate. If you agree with this statement, please put in a 5. Awesome. So if I know and I believe that the Harmonic scanner is 80% accurate, is it not better for me to see it on the Harmonic scanner and then bring it here so I can track it? Don't you think that would increase my winning ratio? Don't you think that would increase my winning rate? So those of us that are saying we've taken, I think in this month of March, we've taken like a total of close to 50 or more trades, and we've only lost 5. We've only lost 5 out of the whole trades that we've taken. These 5 that we've lost is not even up to 2% of what we have made in the month of March in total. Why do you think that is? I'll tell you my simple secret. Every trade that I call had been called either immediately or at some point in time on the harmonic scanner. Either the trade had been called at some point in time on the harmonic scanner, or it is just called on the harmonic scanner. I've shared with us my trading secret. I've shared with us what I do in secret.